Okay. Okay. All right. So, hello everyone. I'm Jane. I'm here today to share. Well, I know that Claire has mentioned that we are the new HMO panel member, but I thought it'd be helpful if you know more about us. So I'm here to share us in regards to how did we came up with the brand, to go into more detail about how we started off our own HMO and buy-to-let portfolio, which was about over 13 years ago, and also to share our own experiences of how we have converted our own HMOs as well from scratch. So regards to our presentation, we just wanted to share a bit more about us, about our background, and also what services and support that we can offer to you, whether you are a new investor, whether you are a seasoned investor and you wanted to try something new. We often get asked all the time from investors, they want to try HMOs, but they don't know how to start. So hopefully by this presentation today, I can show you a bit more regarding our own experience. So let's get stuck in. Okay, so about us. So regarding how did we came up with this idea? So Managed by Landlords is an idea that we've had for quite a long time now. Me and my co-founder John, we actually started our own property journey over 13 years ago. And during that time, we felt that when we started off our journey that there wasn't much help out there for us. We was new and we wanted to start to invest into HMOs, but we didn't have much experience at that time. When we was looking to see what kind of what kind of support is out there, we kind of saw a lot of companies kind of providing a lot of kind of support out there. However, it was quite expensive for us starting out. Having to pay thousands of pounds for having that support was not really something that we felt can help us at that time. But also we wanted to speak to people who had experience of actually buying properties and converting HMOs themselves, and to have that support available. So when we started out, it was quite hard for us. We was having to kind of take that plunge and having to invest into property and find our own properties that we could convert into HMOs. So that was the first thing all those years ago, that we thought that we wished there was a company out there like ours now that could provide that support but not be so costly, and having that hands-on experience. The second thing was not only that we managed to get our own HMO portfolio, which is fantastic, but no one actually prepared us of how to continue to make sure our HMO will rent out, to perform. So much research out there of how you can get into property, I suppose, but not enough in terms of what you need to do in order to keep your property high, to make sure that that we have no voids, and making sure essentially that we are compliant. So those two things really kind of stuck with us for all these years, until we finally reached a point, which I will go in a bit more in the presentation, where we hit a moment where we wanted to create this brand to help other people. So with Managed by Landlords, we are a property company, but we are not like any other high street agent or an online agent. We are there to promote the best quality of service for in regards to our clients, and that is something that we have been keen on from day one. So that's the values behind us, and due to our own experience, why we founded this brand. In terms of our brand, I'm going a bit more into why we are Managed by Landlords and why we're not like most people out there. So going back to our own journey, we when we was utilising high street agents at the time to manage our portfolio before we were able to manage it ourselves and have the experience, of course, we kind of had that initial chat with agents where we felt they weren't investors themselves. They don't understand how long it's took us to get this far, to get the HMOs, get it compliant, the amount of money it cost us. And we wanted to have a company where we are still our investors, we are landlords, we still have our HMO portfolio now, and we know how tough it is. So we wanted to be able to give that hands-on experience with our clients and share that experience with them. That also goes into one of the points here, that we wanted to offer a real client-focused approach. Now, I've got a clinical background, and we always talk about making sure everything we do is client-centered, that everything we cater is for them, not one approach fits all. So with Managed by Landlords, we're very much client-focused. We want to make sure what services that we offer is catered to that individual and that it works for them. Being in property, as you know, is 24/7. It is not a 9-to-5 job. You can't switch off on a Friday and think, that's it, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to worry about things could go wrong. And that was the biggest frustration for us when we were using agents previously, not having that support when our tenants really needed them or when we needed them. So we are a brand that we do offer a 7-day-a-week service. We are proud of that fact, and we believe that's the best for them, really. At least landlords and tenants can reach out to us and not feel they have to wait until 2 or 3 days for us to get back to them. What makes us as well, in terms of, we're always striving in terms of our training. We do realise the importance of having hands-on, obviously the hands-on experience, which is great, and you're able to show and talk from experience how you've done things yourself, how you found properties, how you reconfigured a property into a HMO and those kind of things. But we also recognise it's important to have the theory. Just now I've heard some people say, look, I want to get into HMOs, or I'm not sure what I want to do with HMOs. HMOs can be a minefield if you don't know in terms of how to prep your HMO, how to be compliant. Is it meeting the standards? Is it needing to have certain features in the property to be compliant? And with us and our company, we're always striving to make sure that we know everything as things happen, especially with COVID-19. The last 18 months, we've had so much change, and it's so important for us to be up to date and pass that knowledge to our clients as well. So that is how, in terms of our brand, we're not like any other company, and we're very proud of that fact. Okay, so regarding our services then, so I have kind of touched base a little bit in regards to being all those years ago, starting off my journey, and obviously not being in that case where I could pay for training. I could have, training is very expensive at that time, and also I could have used that money into me putting it to my first, in terms of me trying to purchase my first HMO property, or I really couldn't feel I could justify the amount of money for the training schemes out there available. And also I wasn't sure whether they actually had the hands-on experience that I kind of needed at that time. So one of the things we wanted to do with Managed by Landlords and the services we provide, we wanted to offer that consultancy portfolio planning kind of role, to kind of offer that service to our clients, but at a rate which is at a fair price. And also having a service that is catered to them. And that's another thing that when I was investigating with training before, when I started off all those years ago, I felt there was just one thing or one training course that fits all. And I really wanted be offering a more personalised kind of planning for our clients. So Managed by Landlords, we're really proud that we offer that. With in particular, we have new clients who want to start investing but not sure, who've done so much research out there but not sure which one is right for them, and they come to us and we can obviously devise a plan for them. And the most popular at the moment that we have is even experienced clients are wanting to try HMOs but are almost paralysed, not knowing what they need to do and where do they start. Most popular one is where they're wanting to invest in property outside of their local area. Because of their local area, they might have Article 4 restrictions, they're not able to get a property, or don't have the confidence to maybe take that plunge and buy a property in Article 4 area. Also, they may not have the funds available. Certain areas, they just can't afford to actually pay for that and to convert it to a HMO. So a lot of our well-experienced clients want to start investing in HMOs, but just don't have the confidence and have the team to support them to source a property elsewhere, to know it's the right investment project for them, understanding, you know, the actual risk profile if they did purchase, if they go ahead and purchase it, whether that property is the right one for them. From experience, if you don't know what you're doing, buying a property and trying to convert it, it can be, if you don't know, if you haven't planned it correctly, it can cost you a lot of money. And I'm not afraid to say that, like, hands up from experience, that has happened to me. And I really wish that someone could give me that advice now to what I need to look at now when I'm planning to purchase a property, rather than making a costly mistake. So yeah, so we do offer that more refined service. In terms of, some people might not even be at that stage yet. They just want to get into property but don't know what they should do. Should they get a HMO? Do they do SA? Do they just buy a normal family let? They just don't know what method and what would work for them in terms of what they want to achieve. So we do offer more in terms of coaching, what we can do to enhance their understanding of property, what they should be doing. And again, it's very catered to their own individual needs. We have one client at the moment who owns his own company. He's in his early 20s and he already has reached out to us wanting to invest in properties for long-term gain. So we've worked out 25, 30 years plan with him, and we have a catered plan with him to meet his requirements. And obviously with Managed by Landlords, we do offer like a hands-off approach as much as possible. I hate that term because property is never really hands-off, but for clients out there who just want a property to be tenanted and they don't want to have a heartache of hearing everything that goes potentially wrong with a property or compliance, we do support with that. So that is with buy-to-let properties as well as HMO properties, and we are now really happy to say that we're trying to cover more in terms of HMO areas. So our clients have the luxury of owning multiple HMOs in different areas and having one team supporting them throughout that journey. Okay, so I've kind of blabbed on about the team, but it would be nice to know who is the team. So you've got me, CEO, co-founder as well. You've got John Heath. He may be coming in some of the time. He's also the co-founder as well, but he has more than one job, as you do. And Amelia is also someone who helps us in terms of, for us to expand in terms of our growth and looking at new ways that we can obviously expand. She is also got history in law as well, and we may be looking at sales in the near future. Very exciting. So I'm going to go a little bit about myself. So I find it's really important when you are investing in if you want to obviously go in partnership with someone or to invest in something, it's really important to know who are the founders of the company and what their experience is. So I'm Jayne White, soon to be Heath. My co-founder John is also my partner as well. So I'm the CEO. But as I said earlier, I started life not in property. So I'm a qualified occupational therapist of 9 years. I had my own clinical practice. I was helping in major trusts, some of the ones that you can see on the slide here. And I was also working privately for housing associations and the council to look at their housing stock and how we can provide appropriate housing for their service users. It's an area that I'm still very much passionate about. However, I got to this stage where I was working away from home, I would say 95% of the time. I was never at home, although I loved my job. And I wanted to have more of a work life in terms of not always working away and having a employment where if I wanted to retire early, I can. If I want to pick and choose where I worked, I can. So I decided to invest in property. I took the plunge on my own before I met my partner, where we then built our own as well together. And I had my own personal portfolio of my own buy-to-lets and HMO properties, which I again done from scratch on my own with my own money, mainly from my own practice, which was making quite a lot at that time. Obviously I was going on a bit more about John as well, but I've met John and then we decided we're both at the same path, which is fantastic. Really important to have a partner who also shared the same path as you. And we decided to carry on. So we started to invest in more properties. In terms of Managed by Landlords then, I actually co-founded Managed by Landlords when I was diagnosed and was having treatment for stage 4 cancer in 2019. I've always known that I wanted to do something in property, but it was at that moment in time where I actually had to stand still and not work in my clinical world for the first time, and realise what in terms of what I wanted to do. So I founded this company when I was in a ward having, when I was having that. So I'll go into a little bit more for you in a bit. In terms of John Heath, you may have seen this lovely man around. You may have seen us a couple of weeks ago briefly when we attended here. So obviously you know that John is my co-founder, my partner as well. And he also jointly invest into the portfolio. But John's background is slightly different to mine. John is a qualified teacher, has worked in some of the most toughest schools in the UK and specialists where I think the children need more input. So he's had that kind of background. He also then went into something really interesting, which most people didn't know. So he started doing some projects for major infrastructure in Central Asia, which he was really good at with that. And that was before he and myself met. But again, like myself, he got to the stage where he was always away, working away, and wanted a work-life balance. So that's where the property portfolio came in, followed by our brand. So in regarding my journey and some key milestones about Managed by Landlords as well. So as I briefly mentioned, I founded the company. The idea came to me when I was on, as you see that picture, while I was having a chemotherapy treatment. So age 32, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, was a shock, and couldn't work clinically anymore at that time because of my health. So I had time on my hands. So apart from doing my own property management, and we was actually doing one of our HMO conversions, which I was project managing at the time, I had nothing else to do. So I came up with the idea of Managed by Landlords, that finally all those values that we came up with at the start of the presentation, what we felt like we wanted to help in terms of those who want to go into their own journey, we came up with this brand during that time. And then just some key milestones. So Jan 2020, we became the preferred provider for Birmingham Central PIN, which was a nice thing for us again, for other people to recognise us. So that's what we've been doing ever since 2020 until current. And then September 21, Managed by Landlords had 50 5-star, 100% reviews on Trustpilot, which was, again, another lovely touch to know that our clients really value us. And that, again, that was great a great feeling at that time. And then November of this year, we did a review of the properties that we manage, and we manage £18 million worth of property across 12 counties, and we are aiming now to do a full national coverage. Our aim is to be a provider that can manage HMOs throughout more than one area. Quickly then, HMO, MBO in numbers, sorry. So collectively 28 years worth of experience in the team. We've got 152 5-star social media reviews on Trustpilot, Google and Facebook. And as I said, £80 million worth of property we manage. So what I wanted to do, obviously I talked about us and our property journey, but I wanted to give you some examples of what we have done. It's not just all HMOs, by the way, and I just wanted to touch base a couple of things. So the first one was a HMO that we did in Coventry for a client of ours. So we successfully sourced it for them. We planned it all. So from sourcing, we identified the correct property, what kind of target audience they wanted to go for, all the way to planning. So it was a 2-bedroom property. We converted it into a 5-bedroom ensuite HMO, and we also got involved with the planning and also the final look and spec. So that picture there is a high spec HMO. It's been fully occupant for the last 5 years, and our client is really happy. They had their first HMO and it's been great, and they've now continued to purchase more properties with us, where we've helped them along with the whole HMO process. A second one we've got is a landlord in Salford who actually had this HMO, converted it with a team before, to then unfortunately suffer massive losses in terms of not able to rent it out and having voids. And he was getting to the point where what is the point having this in terms of he even dropped his room rates really low, like silly low, and still couldn't get the house filled. So we got involved, assessed the property. It was non-compliant as well, which wasn't particularly helpful. So we looked at getting it back to standard in terms of compliancy. We did a mass overview of the whole thing. Helped with a mini refurb, looking at virtual staging, 360 tour, and we got it fully tenanted on the second lockdown, and it's been full ever since. So for the first time for over a year or more now, he's actually managed to get income from his HMO. And the third one, not a HMO one, but a good example, anyway.
No.
A good example anyway, is where we helped an investor who had a apartment, or still have the apartment, in a block where they had leasehold issues. So many problems with the building, which led to mass amount of tenants leaving all that area. So many apartments voided, and this particular client, was costing him thousands of pounds in rent. He just couldn't rent it out. Nobody wanted to touch this apartment at all. So we got involved with the leasehold. We managed to rectify these issues, and also we did a mini refurb of his property, and he's had it tenanted, and we also took on many more clients on the block. So that's just a little example of what, in terms of what we can do to help people, not just necessarily HMOs, even though it's a massive passion of ours, but also to help other landlords. Very quickly then, obviously we're very happy with the feedback we've got, and it's nice to actually hear feedback from our clients. So if you wanted to look at our Trustpilot account, we're very proud that we've got one. Apparently it's quite unusual to have a Trustpilot account, but yeah, just a couple on there of how we've really helped our clients, and it's just nice to hear back from them as well. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm really sorry if I've gone over. I tried to be as quick as I can and stay within the time limit. But as you can see, that was our journey into property, how we got into property ourselves, why we're so passionate about it, and why we've decided to make this, to launch this brand, and showcasing what I've done previously and my co-founder as well, and how all those skills has been transferred into this brand now. As Claire announced earlier today, we are now going to be part of this this lovely group now, and we're going to have our own room as well. So if you have any questions about HMOs, if you're interested to get into them, or just wanting to kind of share your own experience and want to know, or wanting us to share our ones as well, obviously please join us later. But if you wanted to connect with us outside of this format, we're on social media on all these channels: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Contact us, email and ring us. But yeah, that is everything from me, and I hope you've enjoyed everything, and I'll hopefully see you all in the